Hey, how did you do that? That was cheating. You can't just chase a boat with screen wrap on. So, this is Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land. This is the final game in the Super Mario Land series and the first in the Wario Land series. Hence the title of the game. More importantly though, that means this is, a little bit more like your average platformer than the later Wario Land series games. However, we're going to be collecting a lot of coins. So, starting out at Rice Beach, Wario's got a safari hat on. That's his normal state. When he's got the safari hat on, he can dash, and that's pretty much it. If you get hit in this state, then he reverts to Tiny Wario, and he is, in essence, useless, because he can't dash, meaning he can't break stuff. He can pretty much only hit blocks, and that's about it, so don't let that happen to you. I guess he can also throw things? I'm pretty sure Tiny Wario can still pick up and throw things, which is also an important gimmick in this game. When you land on enemies, sometimes they'll flip over, and you can just toss them at other enemies. So we just picked up a garlic pot. That will either turn Tiny Wario into the normal Safari Hatted Wario, or if you're already Safari Hat Wario, you'll turn into Bull Wario. So, our charge is now a lot slower, however, it's stronger. It can break blocks in one hit, and well, that's mostly it. That's, for the most part, all I need to talk about when it comes to Bull Wario's dash. However, there's also another important thing he can do, and that's Ground Pound to destroy blocks beneath him. In addition, you can also stick the horns of this hat into certain ceilings. It's usually kinda useless. I say usually because, from time to time you might use it, but for the most part, it's probably the least important ability that Bull Wario has. So we're going to be sticking to Bull Wario for a little while, mainly because the game's not gonna give us that many other power-ups. But hey, it'll work. It's not my favorite, but it gets the job done, and well, unlike a certain other power-up, the sound effects aren't, bad. More on that later. So anyway, Rice Beach is our first stage, and it introduces a lot of different elements. For one, back there we had those, Why can I not remember the names of those things? The Munchers. Those things from other Mario games. There is no way to pass those without getting hit, at the moment. Otherwise, though, this is a fairly basic level. Lets you stretch your legs, and it ends with this. This mole is just going to stealthily throw a big coin at that door. And if you didn't get the hints, up and B is the combination that allows you to do that. We're going to need that for most end of stages. That'll unlock the doors, so for the most part, you're going to need 10 coins to end a stage. Because, of course, the up B will use up 10 coins. You didn't see that there, of course, because, the mole did it for us, so we didn't have to. But from now on, the end of level is going to have to come out of our own pocket. Anyway, this is a gambling minigame. You can play this at the end of every stage, and if you guess the correct bucket, then you will double the coin. Then you will double the amount of coins you have. However, in the other buckets is a weight, and if that drops on you, then you lose half your coins, so you only get to play 3 times in a row, and then the game automatically ends. However, you can end the game yourself if you want to get out before you end up losing too much, or if you've already lost plenty and you don't want to embarrass yourself any further. But I managed to get all 3 there because I was super lucky. Usually that won't happen, though. Through this playthrough, I got really lucky with most of those overall. And the other minigame we'll see at the end of this stage. For now, though, let's see. This stage does introduce those drill guys, or whatever those hermit crabs are, little spiky guys. When you pass under them, they'll fall, just move out of the way, and then you can just jump on them. So, this power-up right here is the Dragon Hat. Dragon Hat is kind of a weird version of the Fire Flower. It doesn't bounce, in fact, it's just a spray in front of Wario. So, it's not ranged like the Fire Flower is for Mario, but it does have its uses. For example, it can be used underwater, though the attack is slightly different. It's also less annoying when underwater, because man, the Dragon Hat is actually pretty neat. I think it's got a good attack. I like the sort of dynamic it has, but man, its sound is bad. So, that right there, the little symbol on top might look familiar. You can press up and B to throw 10 coins at that if you want, and that will actually act as a checkpoint, so I'm not going to be using those throughout the game since, it's a waste of 10 coins if you, can just restart the stage if you die, or get hit at all in my case. So, really, I don't need them. I would, however, suggest you use them yourself if you're playing, especially if you're playing for the first time. Maybe not at Rice Beach. I'm pretty sure, even for new players, Rice Beach shouldn't be too bad. Those urchin guys might pose a bit of a problem, though. They're a little bit unexpected, and you can only hit them from the bottom. You have to jump into them, like so. And I thought you could pick them up afterwards, but nope, they just die instantly. Oh, well. Anyway, usually when you get to an area like this, that indicates the end of the stage. We got introduced to the duck enemy. They throw their boomerangs. Nothing too tough, but if you aren't able to reach them before they throw their sword boomerangs, just steer clear of them. Don't go in for a hit, especially from the front. You'll just end up hitting yourself. So, here's the other minigame. This one isn't played for coins, you play it for lives. I only have enough money for the C course, and quite frankly, even this is not going to be great. I managed to get one. So yeah, basically you have to aim your shot, and yeah, the power does fluctuate, not randomly, but you have no control over how powerfully you throw other than when you stop it. So basically you have to line up both your position and the power you want at the same time. It is pretty difficult, which is why I myself don't particularly like this minigame. I usually don't see people play this one too much either, probably because the game does give you a fair amount of lives on its own, and oh god, yeah. C rank won't even give you lives unless you get a perfect score. And I'll be honest, I don't even know about the other ranks. They probably give you, more lives than they give you lives earlier, but C rank, unless you get a perfect, you only get hearts, which lead to a life. Which I haven't mentioned, but you see that on the bottom, the little 84 next to the heart? That's our heart counter. It goes up by 1 whenever we kill an enemy, and by 10 whenever we pick up a hearts. It will also go up by 10 if we pick up a power-up we're already using, but we haven't really been doing that too much so far. And of course, like in Super Mario Land 2, when you reach 100 hearts, you get a 1-up. So yeah, that's why you don't really need lives too much. Just like in Super Mario Land 2, provided you keep killing enemies and picking up the heart items, which are, fairly prominent, then you should at least have a pretty healthy amount of lives, so unless you get brick-walled by something, you're probably not going to be in too much of a need for them. Though, to be fair, it's entirely possible that you might get brick-walled by something. I wouldn't rule that out. So, that enemy back there, one important thing about him, he throws a knife as his attack, yes, that much is obvious. However, if I went back after he'd thrown that knife, The knife would have been stuck in the wall for a moment, and we could have jumped on top of it. Again, that's not a thing that's going to come up too much, however, it's a mechanic you should keep in mind. Actually, I don't think you need it at any point. You will realize it exists in a certain stage, though. Not necessarily because it's useful. Oh, I exit already. So you might notice these little... I think they're supposed to be like sand falls, not waterfalls, because they certainly push you down like quicksand does. You might notice that there's a platform up there. We could actually reach that, but I don't want to. It's tricky to do so, and I don't think I have the skill to. I know I don't have the patience to do so, that's for sure. It's not the intended way to jump up there just yet, though, so we're gonna hold off on that for now. And for the time being, we'll move on to the next stage. Oh, hey, so there's a thwomp right there. Now, you're not going to want to die in this stage. I know that sounds obvious, however, this is a little segment in which you have to run away from the thwomp, which will kill you if it touches you. It's, very spiky. Of course, Bull Wario and Dragon Wario are both perfect for this because they destroy blocks like those quickly. Which means we are way ahead of the game. Honestly, to be fair, I did warn against being Safari Hat Wario, but it's not the biggest deal if you're not. However, you're going to want to wait for the thwomp because while you can't touch the sides, you can touch the top of it, and you need to ride across the lava, which will also kill you if you touch it, so, you know, don't. The bats swoop down in an arc once you get a certain distance away from them. You'll probably figure out the distance pretty quickly. It's easy to get a feel for those enemies, I've found. That being said, though, there are a lot of them, and from time to time they're placed in such a way where they're kinda difficult to dodge correctly. Not so much in this level, though. They're pretty easy in this level. So this is why you're going to want to be Bull or Dragon Wario. Again, it's not like it's impossible to get through this if you're normal-ass Wario, but you don't have a lot of time to react there, so, you know, why risk it? You should just be a slightly bigger Wario and dash your way through those blocks as quickly as possible. Now, right here, the end of the level is unlocked automatically. That's due to the fact that we pretty much hit a point of no return at the end, meaning we couldn't either return to the stage for more coins, or if we really screwed up and couldn't get 10 coins by the end, then we'd also have no way to make it back to the door at the start. Which is kind of why those doors are there, more or less, so you can go back. Honestly, though, I have never, even when I was a kid, had to go back to the doors. Honestly, you're probably just better restarting at a checkpoint at that point, if possible. Because coins will respawn, and if a checkpoint's available, then you don't have to go all the way back to the beginning of the stage. Anyway, though, yeah, if you ever hit a point of no return in a level, then you don't have to pay coins to reach the end, which is nice. So, thwomps are no longer a chase obstacle, they're just sorta here. And hey, we also throw conveyor belts into the mix now. Conveyor belts work like they always do. They move in one direction and either slow you down one way, or they speed you up in the other. Here, though, they're not a big deal. They're there for a little bit of practice. Of course, hitting the thwomp ain't good, but, you know, you have a feel for the thwomps, so you can get a feel for the conveyor belts without too much issue. So, these enemies will just toss out spiky balls from their stomach. I don't know how they contain that many within themselves. They clearly have access to a hammer space. Quick bit of advice, never stand in front of them. Of course, even if they're not currently attacking, that does actually count as a hitbox, so if you try to go in for a hit from the front, you're gonna hurt yourself, so, you know, don't do that. Go in from the back or from the top, which I did right there. Thank you, Bull Wario, and hey, it's time for a boss. So, we've got a Koopa right here. He is only vulnerable in the stomach. However, you can hit him in 2 different spots. When he's rising up, you can hit him, and when he's on the ground, you can charge him. And that's pretty much it. I think sometimes he goes underground or something like that. Maybe I'm misremembering, but, I mean, I did kind of just destroy him. Wario, what? Wario, there was a coin there! Why did you stop, you fool? Ugh, God. How can I accurately roleplay Wario when the game itself prevents him from getting a coin? That's just incorrect. Ah, darn. So I got my money halved. As I said, I'm not gonna get it perfect always. I just got super lucky that first time. But yeah, I'm actually not going to be doing the this minigame after every stage, only after boss stages. The reason being is, I know I just joked about this, but I don't want too much money. I want a certain amount which I will definitely have, and then a little bit extra is fine, but if I get too much, I won't actually get the ending I want. Now, I beat the boss, and we're clearly at the end of the world, so you'd think that would be the end of the episode, but no. We actually have a lot more to go, because Rice Beach actually changes after you beat it. If you go back, you'll notice that the tides come in. This directly alters the 2 stages you can see on the map that, you know, are altered on the map. Rice Beach 1 isn't too spectacular, though. It is changed, but it's not really in any important way. I guess this is basically just here to introduce the fact that some stages do change at a certain point. Depending on what you do or what levels you beat, stages might change later on. And Rice Beach 1 is the first one. I kinda want to skip this because it's mostly not new content, but the water being here does actually change a bit. Like, for example, when I accidentally screwed myself out of getting whatever was in this box the first time by destroying those blocks, this time I can just swim up to it. And, one thing do need to look out for is, of course, being underwater means you can't dash. That is actually the major advantage of the dragon hat. Unlike the bull hat, you can actually attack underwater more easily. You can still get the drop on enemies, or, depending on the enemy, headbutt them from the bottom, but yeah, dragon hat will damage things more easily. Oh, and we picked up a big heart. That's worth 3 1-ups, so I guess that is the big thing. Like I said when we were first in this stage, you can't get across the munchers without getting hit. If you want to tank it, you can. Just be warned, of course, Wario will actually revert immediately to Tiny Wario if he takes any hits at all. He doesn't go back to Safari Wario first. And oh, this time around, we need to pay for the exit ourselves, because that mole got violent. Oh well, not a big deal. I got plenty of money. So Wario will walk slowly around the pillars and then move on. Boy, I sure do wish he'd move faster around those. Wink. So, now that that's done, let's move on to the stage that actually matters. So, you might have noticed that the level marker here is different from the others. It's got the little circle inside of it. That's because there's a secret exit here. However, in addition, there's also this. This just flat out did not appear the first time. This does not lead to a secret exit, despite the fact that if you've played Super Mario World, this might look a little familiar, because we're going to grab a key. You're going to need Dragon Wario, because you need the fire to get this, which I guess means you can't charge underwater as Bull Wario. Well, I guess that answers that question. So, if you throw the key into the door, you get access to this room, which contains a treasure. Of course, if you're Tiny Wario and you make it to this room, you can't open the chest. So go get a power-up and then try. But as long as you have a safari hat, you're good. So we got our first treasure. You could see the slots laid out there. We're going to be collecting those throughout the game. Those will not be marked by the map, however. Typically, it is pretty easy to find those, though, just due to the fact that the skull thingamajigs stick out like a sore thumb, so provided those themselves and the key aren't both hidden, there will be at least some indication that there's a thing hidden in the stage. This is the important part. Before, there were those sandfalls blocking our way that made it difficult to get up here. But now it's incredibly easy because we can just leap out of the water. Secret exits work exactly like normal exits. You gotta use a coin, but they'll lead to a different spot on the map. And yet again, we've got our goal games, but not doing either of these. Fill up the treasury, laugh for a bit, and let's move on. So, this is Rice Beach's only extra stage, indicated by the fact that it's course number 6, so if you started the next world, you'd notice, hey, I'm doing course 7 for some reason. What did I miss in Rice Beach? So, you're gonna want to have Bull Wario because you need a ground pound to summon these crabs. When you see these little Esper-like shapes in the ground, go get them to the edge of the screen, because I've had a lot of instances in which I've accidentally summoned one of the other crabs from being too far over, so try to keep them right at the edge of the screen, then immediately charge and hit them, and voila! That's 10 free coins! So, provided you can get all of them, you're gonna have a lot of money at the end of the stage. If you really wanted to, you could... well... just a shame I can't do the A rank of the bomb rally game. I'm so sad. Anyway, I figured I'd just show this off. Let's get some money. I know I said I'd do this only at the end of boss stages, but let's make an exception since we got a lot of money from this one stage. Alright, so, will left, right, left be the proper pattern? Yes! Okay, so, that is one nice thing is, there does seem to be a tendency to be patterns in the setup of these. Oftentimes you'll find that all of the money bags are on the left bucket, or they alternate between rounds, so the best way to take a chance is to do, well, one of those. And for that we get a lot of money. Oh, and just FYI, the maximum amount of coins you can get from the bonus game is 999, so If you get that far in only 2 rounds, just quit. There is literally no reason to go ahead. You don't need the 3rd round. Don't risk it. Alright, so that's it for Rice Beach. Pretty long first world. Next time on Wario Land, though, we move on to Mount Teapot.